Okay, what's up, everybody? Thank you for coming in again. Another week and another episode. Yeah, let's hop right into it. So once again, we've got a live game happening at the moment. It's Fulham versus Aston Villa, and you can see the score there. If I'm not mistaken, it's still 2-0 to Aston Villa. That is. All right.
Yeah,
The
it's a good.
games as a whole. Who wants to start us off there, Mikey? You're on the screen this week. What you got to say for it?
I missed that. What is that, Jace?
What
Yeah,
you
I
got to
also
say?
missed it.
What you got to say for this week in footy? These
I think
results.
I think another week, another crazy week of football. I mean, another few
Dude, he
games with
scored
like
like
5, 6 goals. Just so many entertaining games, so many controversial moments. I think yeah, Premier League's back and it's back in full flow without even like taking a while to start up. So I think yeah, it's been another entertaining week of football. Some good results for some, bad results for others. So yeah, been a entertaining week.
yeah, it's tough. Yeah, damn, it's so tough.
Ricky.
I'm very happy with this week. I'm not gonna lie. Like some of the games were
Yes, you
spicy.
haven't
I
played
know
You
it's
yet.
haven't played. That's why you're happy.
uh,
You haven't played.
yeah, yeah, because dude, it's positive all around. What Chelsea drew
It
to
is.
West
It is.
Brom, Tottenham drew to Newcastle. Like
I
we
hope you
happy.
keep
Like,
this
dude,
energy.
what
I hope
else
you
can I
keep
ask
this
for?
energy. I hope you keep this energy. That's all that I'm gonna say.
Dude, even Leeds won. Like it's been a positive time. The only unpositive thing or negative thing rather is that United
Unpositive.
took a dub and a gang controversial dub.
Yeah.
But
So
that's the
hey,
only way they take dubs. It's not a dub for
dude,
United if it's not
hey,
controversial. Come on.
yo,
Come on,
Brighton
dude.
got so and this is actually the second weekend in a row Brighton have been robbed. I think against Chelsea they should have, mopped that up.
No.
But hey,
That's
Yeah, they were so good against you guys.
they were
You guys,
good, but
you
yeah,
guys
dude,
really,
they played wonderful.
I don't think it was a winning performance against us. I do admit that they did have a good performance, but surely not a winning one. Like it wasn't like
yeah,
Nah,
I
they
don't
that
know.
definitely should.
spectacular.
I think your penalty changed the game a lot.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah,
they were
as
but
different.
do
They
all
definitely they
penalties.
was a
definitely
As do all
started
penalties.
brighter.
Yeah. Okay, well let's carry on looking at this Man United Brighton game. Final score is 3-2 to Man United. We can see Brighton
Wasn't the final
dominating
score
all
two
this.
two?
That was 3-2.
Had two final scores,
We
or
had
what was
two
going on
final
there?
scores there, but
I saw final score 2-2,
we
and
can see
then
Oh
that.
3-3.
yeah,
Like,
because the game
like what is
ended
going
and then
on?
they
The
so
game
that United could.
stopped and then
You
restarted,
know
so
how it
United
is.
could win.
You
Yeah,
know
that's
how
what
it is.
happened.
You
Well,
know how it.
it's quite clear that Brighton definitely did have a better performance. They dominated on all the other stats, as we can see on the screen here. They had 53.3% possession, 5 shots on target, and 18 shots, and those were all better than Man United. Man United only having 3 shots on target with 7 shots. So yeah, I definitely do think that Brighton were robbed of 3 points here, or even a point.
No, they were robbed of three, but definitely,
Yeah.
definitely at least deserved one. I think United have looked not a great start to the season for them. They looked shaky against Palace, to say the least. They didn't look good against Brighton. I think the only positive thing for United fans to take out of this game is that they got the win. They got 3 points. Because other than that, there wasn't much to take from that performance as a positive in any, like, I don't know. They didn't look good for a second in that game, in my opinion. They were just, yeah, I don't know.
I was
There's
Rashford scored
something.
I was
good.
impressed with Rashford.
Yeah, Rashford had a
Rashford
good
had a
game.
very good game.
Yeah, Rashford looked very good, but other than that,
Yeah,
they didn't
Pretty
have
much
much.
same old Old
I
Trafford
think
things.
I
You know
think
the vibe.
Man United need to start asking questions about certain players like Pogba, for example. I would say, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys saw his stats from the game, but I would. That's not the Pogba that I came to knew in soccer, and yeah, that just wasn't a Pogba performance for me. I'm not really impressed with him at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah,
think
dude.
he's looked. Go, Ricky.
Yeah, dude. I've just been saying with United, they've got a lot of good players. Like on paper, they're a lot like Tottenham, where they've got really good players. None of their players just perform. Like
Mm.
Pogba is one of my favorite players, like of all time. He's clean with it. He's strong. He can shoot. Like, what more do you want in like a midfielder? got, flair, all that stuff. But like at United, I'm just not seeing, the Pogba that we could be seeing. But hey, I don't know.
I think,
Maybe a
yeah, I
change of
think
management
I
needs
don't
to
think
happen.
but I don't think we've ever seen the real Pogba at United. I just
Yeah,
Well,
there's
you saw
at
it at
for
Juventus.
France he can go
And
from the
yeah,
United camp to France camp and he can be unbelievable. At Juventus he was crazy. Like the what he was producing at that age, like the balls and like the shots, the passes, everything he had. He's technically probably one of the best footballers around. It's like it just comes so naturally to him.
yeah,
yeah.
and
But
I feel like you're
there's
right
something at
because
United that's just never got there.
I've had I've had I've had this conversation before, and I can clearly remember because my driving instructor when I did my license was a Man United fan, and that was what in December 2018 that I got my license, and we were having the same chats about Pogba, and just it was in that time when he just wanted to leave, and Man United just wouldn't let him go, and I feel like maybe that would have that was the point where we saw the decline of Pogba at Man United. I just haven't seen anything from since then, bar one or
I
two
think
good
I think
performances.
I think he had a really good patch when Ole first came in. He found like, I don't know, confidence, obviously change of manager. He thought things might improve or something. I don't know what it was. But he looked when I went to watch, I watched United Newcastle in I think it was 2nd of January or something, 2019. Um that game, like for me, he was like the best player. I felt like it was like, okay, wow, I'm watching like one of the best players in the world. Yeah, he just bossed the midfield completely. Like no one came close to him. But since then, he's looked average. And the problem with him as well is that
Yeah.
he's such a big player and such a big personality in the change room that you feel when he's happy and he's playing well, United are
The
always
whole
going
team.
to look good and
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah,
team's going to look.
exactly.
But when he's playing badly, now Ole's left with the decision: does he drop Pogba and put Donny van der Beek in, who's a very good footballer as well, and probably works harder box to box than Pogba does. Pogba
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
quite lazy in going forward. He doesn't get back a lot, so it's a tough decision now. Does Ole drop Pogba? And once you drop Pogba, he's not going to be happy, and that's going to
Yeah.
affect
Mhm.
everyone
The
in the
whole
change,
chemistry of the
which
team,
is
just
I think
red lines everywhere.
exactly. So I think it's quite an interesting. It'll be quite interesting to see how Ole figures that out and what he works around there because it's almost a common trend you see like United do perform better as a team when Pogba plays well and when he's happy. He just like strings things together and so yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens there because the whole team's looked poor. I don't know Pogba as well, but besides from Rashford, they haven't really started where they left off
Yeah,
last.
Martial's taken a bit of a dip.
That guy's
Uh,
also too temperamental for me.
we have
He's so
Moya in the
inconsistent.
chat who
When
says
he's good,
I think
after the whole Pogba saga, men wanted to sign Sancho. That's the Pogba decline was almost um, the Sancho hype where it all started, is what they're saying. Do we agree?
what?
like
Uh,
Pogba decline was because of the Sancho hype.
yeah.
True, I don't know. Hey, I don't know. I think it might have been Fernandez, to be honest, for me, because he got injured and he came back and he had to compete with Fernandez in the midfield, and then you just see his way. He was never the
Yeah,
same.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the hype of signing a player like Sancho could ever like bring down a player like that. For him,
Yeah,
he just gets a world class because he's not going to compete position for with Pogba, like completely
Sancho.
different position. It's not going to
Yeah,
affect his place. And for Pogba to play with a world class player like Sancho, that for me it should boost the players like mentality
he
and
might have been
their mood
happy.
and stuff, knowing that they're gonna get this player, this like Sancho is hyped to be world class. I still think he's very good. I still think he's got a bit to prove, but
He's
Yeah,
got room
same
to
here.
improve. Yeah, dude,
I'd,
he
I'd,
but
hasn't hit the spot for me just yet.
yeah,
Okay, should we move on to our next game then? We're gonna have a look at this Chelsea game. She's I think I want to start us off with this one. I think once again a game of
So
two
crazy.
halves. Game of two halves, and I understand where people are coming from, saying that people are celebrating a draw, but I'm telling you right now that I am not celebrating this draw. It was embarrassing. That first half, like it was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, you can point the finger, and it was more individual errors, but at the end of the day, like we can't keep having this blame game. Somebody needs to step up and take accountability. And I feel like when Aspi came on and took the ban from Thiago Silva, which was a very shaky call by Frank, and I think that shows that he's an inexperienced manager and still very young. But as soon as Aspi came on, I saw such a big difference from the team, and I feel like that's where the comeback came from. I feel like Aspi initiated that comeback.
So for Chelsea's next game, what do you think has to change for them to, come back from this and not end up being the side that drew to West Brom?
We need to play a 90-minute game. We playing games of two halves against Liverpool. I feel like our first half was very good for the side that we pitched against Liverpool, and going into the second half was when everything crumbled, and that's where we lost the game. So I feel like we need to field a full 90-minute game, and I think Lampard he needs to use these signings that he's got. He's spent all this money and he just keeps saying they're not ready, where we're seeing players getting announced at the beginning of a week and they're playing that weekend. I just feel like the players that we signed have that class. They have the ability to come in and slip into the squad. And yeah, sure, Thiago Silva's debut was an exception. That happens every now and then, but I just feel like the players, what we're seeing, what's happening in training, the clips from training, it's just they're too good to be left out of the squad. They need to be in.
I think for me, a big problem is there's no captain on the field. Unless Asby's
well, that's exactly what I was saying.
Thiago Silva's obviously a very good leader. Like, there's nothing away from him. But you can't have a captain that can't speak the language.
No, exactly.
And everywhere else on the field, you've either got youngsters or players you've just bought. So for me, Frank has to find a way to start Asby until he can trust someone else to be captain. Because you can't have a captain that can't speak the language. It doesn't work. Like, especially maybe if he'd been there for a year and a half and he kind of knew the players and he could get something out of them. But he's come into the team for 2 weeks. He doesn't speak the language. Like, he's obviously a leader.
And they made it.
He can't captain.
Shouted people.
You see, I would have put Chilwell. I would have started Chilwell ahead of Thiago Silva. He needs to. It's just that language barrier is such a big thing. Communication. It's just so important, and I feel like maybe some of those individual errors wouldn't have occurred if the communication was better at the back in the first half.
Yeah, very. I think so as well. But it's interesting to see as well, the players that saved Chelsea, who are all around the comeback were kind of like we were saying before, were the youngsters that are the Chelsea, the ones that brought the academy, it was Mounts, Hudson-Odoi, Abraham, who all looked to be getting dropped with all the new signings coming in. So it's almost it's now does Frank just drop them? For me, you can't drop Mounts. He's done nothing wrong since the start of last season.
I agree.
But if you want to play all the players you bought, you have to drop him.
And you can't not play
if you want to play Ziyech, Werner, Havertz, all the players you bought, there's no space for Mount, which is interesting because I think he's been your best and most consistent player, and he started the comeback that goal. He just he had to get something, and he's okay, let me take the initiative, and he took the shot from outside the box, knowing he's got
Mount is the one to do that. He's always been for Chelsea the guy who's going to take long distance shots and score those crazy goals.
There's only three players that I can confidently say are playing a full 90-minute game for us, and that's Aspi, Kante, and Mount. I would say I can see effort from all of them for the full 90 minutes from the first whistle to the last, and I feel like if the whole team can imitate the attitude that they approach the game with, I think Chelsea can do big things. It's an exciting time, but they just need to wake up. Somebody needs to say something. Somebody needs to wake up. Lampard needs to take initiative and get going. He needs to inspire them.
Yeah, but you can see he's an angry.
There's still something for me about Lampard that I don't know if he's got it as a manager yet. I'm not saying he's not going to. I think he just got thrown in. He obviously did well last season, so he got thrown into the deep end. Did well, got his way out of that, and now he's almost in a trickier position this season than he was in last season.
Yeah. And well, that's
Because
what
now everyone's expecting him to do well.
exactly.
Because
But
last season there were no expectations and he exceeded them all. So now everyone's expecting him to do better
that's what I'm
than he did
saying.
last season,
I feel
which
like
is
Lampard
so
came one
tricky with
manager
all these
too
new
early.
players as well.
Lampard was one
I think
manager too early.
he also didn't like. Obviously, he was decent at Derby, but he didn't get them promoted. Like he took them up the table, and they did well in the FA Cup. They got that FA Cup run going, and all that. So he obviously has he just needs
Yeah.
a bit more experience, I think.
Yeah.
And I think with the way Abramovich works and how Chelsea works with managers and stuff, it's just I don't know if he just came in a bit too soon, because if he doesn't produce, I know like you as a Chelsea fan, like a sentimental like Franco, like Lampard's like a Chelsea through and through, he's like a hero. You wouldn't mind giving him a couple seasons to
Well,
get into it.
that's
and stuff.
exactly the thing. I would hate to see his Chelsea reputation be ruined by his managing career. That's why I feel like Lampard is someone that you had to bring in when you know that the team is doing well, and he could just carry on the momentum and bring that inspiration. I'm not doubting him as a manager. He's definitely done bits. He proved it to us last season by qualifying top 4. I just think that he needs to. Yeah, there's just something that he needs. Just maybe a little bit more experience. Yeah, as you say, because I'm a Chelsea
I
fan.
think that's what it is.
It's just experience. Okay,
Yeah,
before we move on,
I think it's gonna be a tough season for him.
yeah, I just want to get to KB's question before I skip it there. He says, genuine question, what's Chelsea's playing style under Lampard? I would say definitely using the pace. I would say I think Chelsea's a very fast team, and utilizing their pace down the
At
wings.
the moment,
Also using Kante as a pivot in the middle. I think Kante is very, very strong, and Kovacic are very strong in the middle, and I think they're doing a good job there. I think that's the play style that he's aiming at. I don't know, do you guys have any observations of Lampard's playing style?
I don't know. For me still, it's hard to see because he's playing a lot of players out of their natural position.
Exactly.
Like he's playing mainly Mount
such
down
a
the wing, but obviously
Exactly.
Mount wants to drift more infield. So we're not seeing players sticking to their positions as such. Like they start out there, but they want to make the influence where they know how. Like it's an attacking mid, like Mount is.
Like he just drifts out of there.
He knows he's more influential from the middle, so he's gonna drift. So I think I don't know. I haven't really seen I don't know if we've seen Lampard's true playing style yet. I think if he plays in position, we might see it more. But I still think it's like you can see what he's trying to do. But I think it is still like he said he's got his defensive tactics, and when it's going forward, it's almost like free roaming almost for the.
people
I think with
I haven't
his
really seen.
with his
set
new
plays
signings,
going
we can
forward.
see a
It's all like-
whole new play style maybe come into effect once everyone's fit and everyone's ready for play.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
you're on the
I think
right
I
track there.
personally think that Frank's team was doing better before all of these signings.
Well, that could be said because they're still trying to adjust. It's only been 3 games. I mean,
Yeah, true.
it's still early days, and I mean we can have this conversation halfway through the season or even at the end of the season again. If the players are still giving out the same performances, then there's definitely some questions that need to be asked about our signings and who we're throwing money at. I just
I
think
think
that
it was
we,
also tough without a proper preseason as well. Like
yeah,
I think these first few games for some players are feeling like preseason. If you get me, like Chelsea did like a lot of their business, like Hamilton and coming in towards the end, not the end of the transfer window, but just before the season started. So they didn't really have a preseason kind of thing. So I think this season is going to be interesting. I think come game week 6, 7, I think that's when we'll see teams like into their flow and stuff.
Getting
Yeah.
to their stride.
I think-
I don't.
I think-
Dude, I'm there with Jotty. Hey, that Liverpool's gonna win. I really do feel
my
it.
word.
I wouldn't be
I think-
surprised.
I
Dude,
think-
who's their competition at the moment?
So who's
I
winning
think
tonight
obviously-
then? Who's winning tonight then, Ricky? If you think Liverpool's gonna win the league, who's winning tonight?
Dude, I think. Hey, dude, let's not talk about tonight. That has.
The
No,
questions have to be asked.
honestly, I think from what we've seen from the first 3 or 4 games, or these 2 games, 3 games, I think they definitely at the moment look as comfortable as a squad But I think I don't know. They still last season obviously they didn't end well, so there's still that possibility. Like teams are going to be more hopeful of beating them this season than they were last season, if you get me. Especially the top, like the other top 6 clubs. So I think that game next or 2 weeks time, I don't know when it is. I think Everton play Liverpool.
Oh,
So I think that'll be because Everton have got into their stride quite quickly this season. They've looked pretty good. So I think that'll be like I'm not saying tonight won't be like tonight will be a good game as well. But I think 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then we can start seeing things a bit better. So I think, like for now, as long as the top 6 stay within 4 or 5 points of whoever's leading, I think by game week, by halfway through the season, we'll get a better view of where things going. But if you start to drop more than 4, 5, maybe 6 points behind the leaders now, I think that's almost your challenge over. But I think if you can stay within that, I think closer to halfway through the season, we'll get a better judgment.
Yeah, we've definitely learned that every point is important at the end of the season. You can't take it for granted.
Facts. Like City's gonna struggle. This goal difference, it's deep.
just before we move on to that City game, we got KB saying Ricky as an op, Lamau, back your boys.
Wait, what? What?
He's calling you out for being an op. He said that you need to back your boys.
Dude, I'm realistic. I'm not gonna be like a United fan and just run my mouth and make nonsense back. Like, I know myself, I know my team. If we win, it'll be lit. But I'm not gonna make noise and say because I genuinely don't think we're gonna come up with a dub. We won't get dished, but it's Liverpool. It's Liverpool, man.
It's Liverpool.
But we'll see what happens. I'm not going to count the boys out just yet. You know how we can do. We've still got Arteta coming through with the sauce, but I know Arsenal as well. I'm an Arsenal fan. Like, I know not to get my hopes up.
Us London clubs know too well.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's a London thing, isn't it? It's a London thing.
Too early.
It's tough out, yeah.
This is the same team that beat City and Liverpool, then lost to Aston Villa.
Yeah,
dude. I'm not getting my hopes up.
Alright then, guys. And I know we all are so excited about this one. Leicester, Man City, 5-2 to Leicester.
Madison's goal might have been the goal of the season so far for me.
Man City winning in the possession, not on shots on targets, but they had overall more shots than Leicester. Leicester only having 7 shots on target, taking their chances. I suppose 3 penalties does help them a lot, but hey, Vardy's goal, Madison's goal. 7
shots on target. I think Brendan Rodgers is very, very underrated as a manager.
Yes, extremely.
I think what he did with Liverpool went under the covers because of Gerrard's slip. Like that was he literally took that team. They were meant to win the league. Like Brendan Rodgers played the perfect season. He set his team up well. They did everything they needed to win that season, except for one mistake, basically, that literally cost them the league in that sense. So I think what we've seen from Rodgers, he came in to a Leicester team that had won the league, did badly the next season kind of thing. So he came in, he knew he was picking up like a decent team, but obviously they wanted to push on. And I think last season they competed, they were top 4 almost the whole season until after the restart. They I don't know what happened there, but they lost momentum, and I think they've regained it this season. And I think this performance summed up what Jamie Vardy is for me. Like,
yeah.
I think this is
world-class player.
How do you
with Leicester having Vardy, and obviously they've got quality midfielders, but with them having Vardy, they don't ever need to have possession. Like they don't care. City can have 70% of the ball, but they know when they're going forward, they've got Vardy running in behind.
Yeah.
He's faster than most defenders, so he can draw the foul, and they've still got quality midfielders behind him.
Well,
Barnes
we saw that
is good
happen.
down the wing.
That's how he won the penalty.
Bombing down there. He won the penalty because he knows how to draw fouls. He knows how to run in behind.
Also the City defenders were quite clueless with some of these penalties.
Yeah, they were.
Like Garcia's penalty was ridiculous.
Garcia and Ake looking very shaky. I think,
Ake was so confused.
You need to possibly move Ake to a left back and put somebody else at centre back, just so there's like somebody else that's a bit more stable. I think
it's that City defense. It blows my mind week in and week out. They've literally, it's probably the position they've spent the most money on since
Yeah.
Guardiola's come in. Like
Is it
they've
working?
got quality up the pitch. Like they've obviously spent money there as well.
Mm.
But their biggest signings have come in defense, and they've never looked comfortable at the back.
Mm.
They've been like, ever since Guardiola's come in, they've never been like defensively great. Like normally teams that win the league are good defensively and they score their goal. That's how they win the league. They're good defensively. But the City team won the league by outscoring their opponents. And I think that defense at the moment looks so shaky. I know they're
And I
missing
also
players
think-
like there, but for a side like City, with the depth that they've always had, they're looking so thin at the moment. I don't know where it's come from. Like their bench is looking like normally on the bench, like it was like, okay, City are always going to win because of their bench. And now you look at their bench and they've only got like 2 decent players to bring on.
I think
They brought on
injuries.
that-
I think injuries are also playing
Yeah,
a
they
big
have.
role. Injuries are playing a big role. They definitely do miss Aguero. Aguero, that guy, he just makes
And
such a
now
big
Jesus
difference.
out as well.
But
Um,
I'm also telling you, City's style of play is very, very easy to read. Once you've got it unlocked, you saw against Leicester, they couldn't score. Against Southampton last season, they couldn't score. All they
Yeah.
do is they pass the ball around and they wait for gaps. If you
Yeah.
close all the gaps, they have nowhere to go, and they end up doing the same thing the whole game while you just attack on the counter attack because their defense is clueless.
Mm.
They play
Yeah,
themselves.
I think it's going to be interesting to watch the whole Pep situation because apparently the senior players aren't happy with what's going on. They've like, I don't know, there's over the past few like games, I think they've lost 10 and 36, and after
Jeez.
every loss, there's always been something about like Pep and his players. The players aren't buying into what Pep, like his playing style or something. So it's going to be interesting to see because the owners there, they just want to win and they're going to throw money at whatever they can and want to win.
Well,
And I think the big thing for them is how they've never got to the semi-finals of the Champions League. And I think they can have all the domestic success they want, but they need to compete in Europe. If you always know, like with City, ever since Guardiola's come in, I think they've won like the Carabao Cup like 3 out of the 4 times. They've like made the FA Cup final, I don't know, possibly every time. They've always been first or second in the league. Like it almost became not competitive for them in the Premier League.
yeah.
And you expected them to do something in the Champions League, and they've never done anything. I mean, on paper, when they lost to Liverpool that year, they was way stronger than Liverpool. When they lost to Spurs, they should never have lost to Spurs on paper. Leon, it's like not even comparable, the two teams.
Yeah, for the
Yeah, that-
reputation that Man
something-
City has.
City have those 3 teams, the Liverpool that they played then, obviously the Liverpool now is different, but the Liverpool they lost to then, on
Yeah.
paper, City should have won that. They should have beaten Spurs on paper, and they should have beaten Lyon on paper, and they didn't win one of them. Even that was Monaco's wonder season when they had Mbappe coming through and they had that whole team. But City still should have beaten them on paper. But
Yeah,
they
they
just,
genuinely
as soon
should.
as they get out of the group stages, they just seem like they don't have it in the Champions League, which is very interesting. And I think that's the main reason they got Pep in as well, was to have European success, because they had won the league before Pep had come as well. Like they'd kind of cemented that like an English giant at the time. Like they'd won the league a couple of seasons, and I think they got Pep in obviously
Pep
to keep
needed
winning
to
in
be that
England,
next step up in Europe. He needed to be that
take
next
them the
step
next
up.
step into
Yeah.
Europe.
yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, because, yeah, I mean, for City to lose 10 in their last 36, I mean, before that, they probably, those first 2 seasons of Pep, they probably hadn't even lost 10 games in those 3 seasons, or 2 seasons, however long he was there. So
Well-
I think that's an interesting development to watch, because if it carries on like this, I don't know how long. I don't see Pep staying the whole season, to be honest with you. Obviously, it's been 2 games, so we can't say much. But for City to
But
ship 5,
what can actually change from City? And they're going up against Leeds next week, and that's
Well,
not going to be easy because
there's-
Leeds is dangerous.
With this chat about the defensive problem and throwing money into the defense, we have a question asking: Is Ruben Diaz going to be the plug in the defensive hole?
Yeah,
I
it's
think-
possible.
I think he is a quality centre back. I mean, if you look at how many games he's played, he's only 23. How many games he's played for Portugal? How many games he's played for Benfica? I think it's obvious that he's a very good defender. But if you look at some of the mistakes he's made, like obviously, okay, all defenders have mistakes in them. But if you look at some of the mistakes he's made, obviously he's still young. So I think if it could pay off. But the last big defender to come out of Benfica to the Premier League was Lindelof, and he hasn't exactly set it alight. But I do think Ruben Diaz is better than Lindelof, of course. But I think there's still question marks over him. But being young, being only 23, I think he's a very good player. So I think it could be a very big signing. But I don't know. City have every defender they've signed, we've said it looks like a good signing. It should be like they've bought Mendy, this best left back. They bought Walker, who's obviously been good for them. They bought Stones, like all these young talents, and they just haven't seen. They still like Laporte is very good for me, but he's had so many. He just seems to be injured the whole time.
Yeah, actually.
So I think if they get Laporte back with Ruben Diaz next to Laporte, I think that could be.
That is a very solid centre back pair.
Very solid defensive pairing. But I think he's very good. So I think it's a good signing for them. It just has to see how it pays out.
I won't lie. I haven't heard much about him. I haven't really heard the name Ruben Diaz thrown around. But what I have heard of him since I have heard the name thrown around, it's a good signing, and it's exciting for Man City to have them in their team.
It's still like obviously, okay, there's a big difference between the 55 or 65 million they're paying Benfica and 90 million for Koulibaly.
Yeah.
But everyone knows who the better defender is.
Yeah.
And I think City, like, if they seriously want to improve their defense, you have to go for Koulibaly. But
do you think that he can offer the full 90 million worth?
I think City can offer whatever they want, to be honest with you.
I'm not saying the money is the problem. I'm asking if you think he can offer 90 million pounds worth of performance.
I don't know, hey, but he's certainly.
It's tricky. He's a good defender, though. He'll be able to save them a lot of time.
I think he's the best centre back on the market at the moment.
Yeah.
Like Ramos is not going to leave. Van Dijk's not going to leave. I think Varane's very good. He's not going to leave. So I think the best centre back that's on the market. I know Koulibaly's not for sale, but he obviously does want to take the step up from Napoli. So I think the best centre back on the market they could get is Koulibaly, and I don't see why they wouldn't pay the money.
Because they can afford it, and it's exactly what they need.
And it's been their biggest problem. So why not get obviously Ruben Diaz could be good, but they are kind of taking a risk. He's only played in Portugal. He is 23, so obviously, but he's not going to be your quick fix.
Yeah, he's going to take some time to adjust.
Koulibaly's 28. He's played in the Champions League. He's had the experience. Italy's a very defensive league, so he's got that defensive quality. I just think, for me, with the money City have, it would be a no-brainer to get him. Money can't be the issue for them. They're paying 65 million already for Diaz. Okay, he's good, but you honestly don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
That's
okay, lads. I just want to quickly. I know there's a big topic that we want to speak on, which is the new handball rule. So, just a quick touch on this West Ham Wolves game. Ricky, your thoughts on this? I know you wanted to highlight this one badly.
Dude, I was just watching this game and I just felt so tough for Wolves because they just weren't pitching up. West Ham, all credit to them, they took it. They played really well. The first goal was insane. Some of their goals were a bit like how it is, but they did really play well. They did really play well. And yeah, I just thought it was really tough for Wolves because Wolves are a good side. It's not like they're a bad team. They've got so many big names, so many great players. It's deep to watch it.
Yeah, that first goal, I wanna take you back to that. You're saying it's a good goal, which it definitely was. The build-up play to it though, I've seen a few people asking questions about it. Where the free kick was taken from. Because obviously it was taken quickly. If you see where the foul occurred and where the free kick was taken from, there's an argument that the Wolves defenders would have had that extra 2 seconds to get back, and that extra 2 seconds could have made the difference. I don't know. I don't know if you remember the build-up play. I just remember there was quite a lot of questions.
To be honest with you, to be honest with you, I didn't even know they'd taken the free kick.
Yeah.
I thought player just.
Yeah.
I thought Antonio had been fouled. Obviously, there was a big tangle in the middle, so Willy Bolly couldn't get up. So I thought that was a bit
And he
sketchy.
was
But
still-
to be honest with you, I didn't even know that they'd play had stopped and the free kick had been taken. I just thought play had carried on.
The ref.
I think
did
there was
play
a
on,
very
yeah.
shaky call there as well.
So it's,
There's one question as to where the free kick was taken, and then there was another one to where if the ball had completely stopped rolling before the free kick was taken. So, yeah, that first goal was good.
See,
I don't
I'm
want to
gonna
take
find
it
out
away
the free-
from them, but yeah, that build-up play, yeah, some questions to be asked there as well, I think.
yeah, I think like if it had been like led to a tap in, I think a lot more questions could be asked. But I think Bowen still had a lot to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
That's what I'm
obviously,
saying. I
did
don't
well.
want to take it away from the goal, but I definitely do think there were some questions to be asked with that build-up play and
Yeah, definitely.
how
Especially
how
as
to
as a Wolves fan, like I'd be feeling bummed as well, like miffed, like it's like why kind of thing, like there's a foul and all that stuff. But I think, having said that, I think
French
can't take
also
anything
caught
away
off
from the
guard.
goal. But yeah, Wolves looked bad the whole game. I think I don't know, maybe West Ham were really good, but I think it was also down to Wolves not being on form. A lot of the goals were just sloppy defending. I think
Yeah.
Sice, I think 3 of them or something I was watching this afternoon, like it was Sice just didn't look like he was in the game. His positioning wasn't great. He didn't like compete hard enough, I think. So I think that is also down to Wolves. I think Wolves played over 50 games last season. So I think they are like they've got a quite a big squad, but it's not a massive squad that they could have rotated players and all that stuff. So a lot of those guys did play all 50 games last season, and I think that is going to start taking a toll on them. Like the preseason, they didn't have a big break. They went like almost straight back into preseason and stuff. So I was hearing pundits speak as well before the start of the season, and they said Wolves were going to struggle. And I think they made some decent signings, but I thought if they were selling a few players and they didn't look like they were signing anyone, and I was like, if they don't sign anyone now after the long season they've had, it could go very badly. But I think they made some decent signings.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll bounce back from it. But I think West Ham actually did look pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because they were shaky in the first game, good against Arsenal, and now they
Even
look
better,
okay.
yeah, they led
So I think we're gonna have a very interesting relegation fight and a very interesting top 6 fight this season.
I think once their
so.
Portuguese goals are set out and they've signed CR7 to complete the Portuguese squad, I think they'll start doing bits.
Dude, these signings are actually so tactical. Like Semedo, in my opinion, right, Semedo's not that great of a right back. Yes, I think I was even saying yesterday he should probably change positions and just be a full-on attacker, because he can't defend, and it leaves the team so exposed when you've got 3 defenders there and the right back is chilling up there by the field next to Adama and they're busy making jokes, kind of vibe.
Busy flexing,
So,
flexing their muscles,
yeah,
dude. Putting oil on up top
just
there.
chilling,
Yeah.
him and Antonio as well, the boys, cozy chilling.
Okay,
Yeah, dude.
I wanna
hey.
move on to this next subject because I feel like we've got a lot to say. Mark, I feel like you have a lot to say. It's the it's the handball rule. So I've got a few sentences on here from the rule book saying, it says, quoting here, it says, an accidental handball by an attacking player or teammates will only be penalized if it occurs immediately before a goal or a goal-scoring opportunity. But it is not a handball offence if after an accidental handball, the ball travels some distance via a pass or a dribble, or there are several passes before the goal or goal-scoring opportunity.
I think they put this rule in place, right? They put all these sub rules, but the refs don't actually know all these sub rules. Like if you I read one about, so obviously speaking now about the Dyer one, if leeway will be given if the player's back is turned and he can't see. Like this, for me, he was facing the wrong way. He was pushed in the back, and Carroll's hitting the ball to absolutely nowhere. That's my big thing. They should look at where the ball's going as well. Carroll's hitting the ball nowhere. If you look at Digne when he got the penalty against Ward yesterday, on Saturday, he just headed the ball down almost blatantly. I genuinely think some clubs have been training for the handball because they know it's going to be given.
Yeah, in the box.
But then you look at the same game in the Everton Palace game. Zaha has a shot. Calvert-Lewin standing like this. He moves his hands closer to his body, right? Which I understand. But his arm is still away from his body and it hits his hand. And technically, there's a rule that says if they have time to move their hand away from the ball, it shouldn't be given. So now it's hit his hand, right? The ball's traveled some distance. Nothing's given. Kane had a shot or a cross thing, hit Lascelles' arm. Lascelles' arm was away from his body, hits his arm, nothing given. And then they give stupid ones like this. My thing is, players can't play without their hands. If you unless
you want people to play with hands behind their backs the whole time, which must
be cable tie hands behind backs and just run around like that. Because that's literally what they're pushing football to be, but with this rule.
Exactly.
Because you can't. If you look at a picture of any two defenders, an attacker and a defender competing for a header, they jump like this you can't jump without your hands. You can't fall without your hands. You can't shoot without if you look at any player passing, shooting, their arms are out. It gives them stability.
They're always doing hand things.
So this thing with their rule of outside the natural silhouette or whatever cuck they are, there's no natural silhouette for a natural silhouette is not this. It's not this.
And nobody's ever going to stand like that.
It's just, I don't know how you can ref a rule with a natural silhouette when a natural your natural silhouette is not your hands next to your body. Every footballer plays like arms are almost a part of the game. Like I think the only way this rule is, it's never been a problem. No one ever complained about the rule when it was deliberate or not deliberate handball.
Yeah, and that was when it was chilled. I think that should be.
There's a whole discussion now with, is it VAR or is it the rule? But I think the only reason they can have this rule is because there's VAR. No ref in real time can see these stupid handballs. A ref in real time can see Oak moving his hand towards the ball. And I think they've been fairly consistent with the rule, but there's still sometimes when they don't give it. And if they're gonna have this rule, you have to give every single time.
Every single, no matter what. There'll be handballs every 2 seconds that happen.
No matter how stupid you think it is, you're gonna give away literally 2 to 3 penalties a game.
But
if they're gonna have this rule, they have to do it every single time it hits someone's hand.
It can't just guys sometimes. Yeah.
I saw a stat on there was some show happening about the Premier League, and they threw a stat onto the screen saying, showing how many penalties have happened this season. And I think we on par with the same amount of penalties that we had in the whole 2017-2018 season, if I'm not mistaken. So we're in match week 3. We're in match week 3, and we're on par with the same amount of penalties that were awarded in the 2018-19 season or something like that. I'm not sure what year it was. That is ridiculous. And I think this rule is to blame for it. Well, not to blame, but it's.
I think.
Yeah.
I saw another stat. It was penalties last season, the first 30 games, and this season, the first 26 games. I think there have been 21 penalties or something this season. Six of which have been for handballs. I think last season after 30 games, my numbers might be slightly off, but it was I think 8 or 9 penalties and none for handball. So it's just like,
because people have noticed that diving is a strategy more now than just something that used to happen.
And I think it's gonna be like now. You're gonna see players when they're one-on-one on the edge of the box, like when they dance over the ball, like which way they're gonna go.
Yeah,
they're just gonna flick it onto O's hand.
Yeah,
they're just gonna flick it onto O's hand.
They get to that, yeah.
It's just like I think for me it's taking, like you've heard lots of players, lots of pundits complaining about it, but it is taking away the spectacle of the game. Like you can't watch a game without having a 3, 4, 5 minute VAR stop. You can't. The main talking point after 90% of games is not, wow, how well did that team play? How good was that goal? No matter how good a goal is in a game, chances are it's always going to be overshadowed by a VAR decision.
A dodgy call.
Yeah.
I just think when there was no, I don't know. I'm not saying VAR should be taken out of football because I think it does have to progress with the times, and you've got this opportunity to use it. But I just think it's so much easier to accept a bad decision from a ref on the field. And if you carry on with VAR, you may as well scrap the ref on the field because he actually can't make a decision. He doesn't have the power to make the final decision. Like obviously he gets sent to the monitor, but once he's been told the ball's hit his hand, go look at the monitor. He walks over there, and less than 3 seconds later, he's giving a penalty because he's been told. I think firstly, this handball rule needs to be scrapped before the end of the season, like literally now before the next game.
I think it will be.
Secondly,
there's been too much uproar about it. It's not only the fans complaining. There's players complaining, old players, retired players complaining. The managers of the teams that are getting the penalties awarded for them are complaining, and that's.
Dude, even Callum Wilson was unhappy about that, dude.
No, he was happy. He was a bastard about it.
No,
that was the other homie. Callum was touched. It was like, don't tell us.
But I just think, I don't know. I just think they need to really look at this rule, and I think it's what it could take is something big from someone to get a penalty that's a rubbish penalty and miss it on purpose and like pass the ball to the keeper. Or for players to
kind
walk onto the pitch with their hands tied behind their back and be like, play the first 5 minutes of the game. Obviously, like, because the refs don't like it as well. It's the main body that's made the decision. So get the refs to add an extra 5 minutes and play the first 5 minutes with your hands tied behind your backs. Because then you're going to see who the hell's going to watch the Premier League if O's tie their hands behind the back. Like it'll just
people are falling over. They have no balance.
Literally, I've played once with my hands tied behind my back on Ellis Park. The Matrix flipping cable tied my hands behind my back, and you literally can't get your balance.
Yeah,
I was falling all over the place, bro.
Mark, I completely agree with you, and I think if they have an active protest against the rule, I think something will happen. But I want to see you go up to Bruno Fernandes and tell him to pass his next penalty to the goalkeeper if he gets it from a call like that. I don't think. I think certain teams
will always be looking to capitalize, win the points.
Yeah,
that's the
it's
nature
hard
of the
for the
Premier
players to
League
do
as well.
that.
Yeah. Even Mourinho's been preaching it. He says, the nice guy will never win a soccer match. You have to be a steward.
I think no one's ever gonna like give away, like pass away a penalty and not take it. So I think it's gonna take something where teams don't. The whole Premier League, like they had this when they had the whole. Obviously, we've seen it's possible. I'm not comparing the two, but obviously when the whole Black Lives Matter movement happened, we saw the captains get together and they made a stand. I think they need to get Jordan Henderson needs to get the captains together and be like, listen, no one likes this rule. Let's not go onto the pitch. Every team not go on for the first 5 minutes and be like, we're not playing unless the rules change or something. It needs something.
Yeah,
there has to be some.
It needs an
big
active, a big act. You can always it always goes down to the saying actions speak louder than words, and I think it will be true in this case.
You can have these boards. They can have anyone they want. Everyone's tweeting. Everyone's saying on punditry, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. They don't care.
People continue playing. It's not going to change.
But if guys be like, listen, we're not going to carry on playing football if it carries on like this. Like we don't. It's losing its entertainment. It genuinely is for me. Like
it's not even.
Have a stop in the game to see if it nicked the O's pinky and all this offside rubbish. I think there needs to be some sort of like, I don't know. They need to come up with a better way to implement it with a bit of leeway.
They must just put the rule back to what it was. There wasn't a problem. Why did it need to be changed?
I also think they must just put it back to where it was.
Yeah.
Because no one ever complained when it was just deliberate handball.
Exactly.
You stick your hand in the way of stuff, and now they're giving. I understand as well. Maybe if it's a shot and your hands are a bit away, then you can think about it. But now we're seeing arb headers from Carroll, arb headers from Digne onto players' hands.
Where they're not even aiming at goal. They're aiming for hands now. They have more chance
Like-
of securing a penalty than
and-
getting a goal off of a header, basically now in a corner or a set
like
piece.
Andy Carroll came on, and I think he appealed for a penalty about 6 times in the game. Every time he won a
And
header,
he
he just header
really
it.
didn't
And
do it. Yeah. And he'd header
He
it
just
into
appeals.
random space. I noticed
Exactly.
that. He would just
Like-
random, nowhere to nowhere.
Newcastle kind of knew they were poor. They knew they
It was
weren't going to
so
get.
bad.
They knew they weren't going to
It
get
was
anything
so
out of the game.
Well,
And
it's
you bring on Andy
evident that
Carroll,
the players are
you know-
appealing
you know-
because without the fans, we can hear it. We can hear the players calling. We can hear what they're saying,
Exactly.
and I think I can hear I can confidently say nearly at every single corner there's at least one appeal for a handball if it hits a body, or they try their luck. They're going to try their luck every single
Yeah,
time.
And the thing is now, so now we must all just sign a flippin' Andy Carroll, someone who's useless at football but 7 feet tall, and all you do when it comes to 15 minutes left of the game is you kick
Just
the
header
ball
it
long
down.
and you get him to header it. You
Peter-
win a foul here and there.
Peter Crouch
and
coming out of
you get him
retirement,
to win.
boy.
Literally, you bring Peter Crouch.
It
He doesn't have to
defeats
run
the
anywhere.
purpose
He
of
just has to.
soccer.
He just has to
Even
make.
play-
Literally, you just have to make sure you keep up with the last man, and you win a foul or a header, and then you get a free kick. You whip it into the box, and make sure that guy wins the header and headers it onto someone's arm. Because they literally always aren't even. They're not trying to win the header to score a goal. So they must also, if they want this rule to stay, look at is it leading to a goal scoring opportunity? And 9 times out of 10, it's not going anywhere near.
not.
They're looking to win a penalty now, and I think it's boring, man. We want to see football. We don't want to see O's like slowing the game down to try and win a penalty.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay,
But also the
that's
same can be said for the people who dive, like the people that look for penalties.
But they
People-
bought
I
the
feel
instead
I
of
feel like
going-
that's more of a skillful act to do. Like it's harder to win a penalty off a dive than just to kick a ball straight into a hand. I'm not sure. That's just my take on it.
But how many
But
with
they're
VAR
essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
with VAR, how many penalties have we seen overturned and
Yeah.
not given because of diving? So diving's it's still there, but it's been eradicated from the game as such. Like 2 seasons ago, we were having huge trouble with penalties and diving, and now you see Bruno's diving. Okay, United, different story. They have different rules to them, but you see Grealish going down in the box. You see penalties overturned, not given. So I think obviously there are still cases where they're going to get it wrong with diving and stuff, but it's almost out the game in a sense. If you like, other than United, there's no one's really diving and winning penalties, whereas everyone's going to get penalties from flicking the ball onto someone's hand.
Yeah, true.
I just think
just
the
stuff
rule.
like you say other than United, because everybody gotta know. It's 3-1, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. It's very interesting. I just don't.
I
I
think-
don't see how the rules added to the game.
Yeah,
If anything,
I agree.
Taking away.
It's taking away from the game, the quality, taking away the quality.
The rules are literally. I know everyone's saying it, but the rules are being made by people sitting in suits who have studied and got a degree and don't actually know what it's like to play football. You look at anyone who's played football, and everyone knows you can't play soccer or football with your hands like this. Your hands, they literally so like to get power, to shoot, to jump, to land
You have
safely,
to-
everything you have to. So the natural silhouette is your like this around your body is your natural silhouette,
Yeah.
not this. So I think it has to go back. There's only one way it can go back to, and that's deliberate or not.
Yeah, well, we have KB
That's the
here
only thing
saying
that's fair.
we know that there's a grey area because KB's brought it up again how United were awarded a penalty after the final whistle was blown. It's to me that's kind of like handing in your exam and being like, flip, I didn't answer the
Sorry,
last
wait.
page.
Yeah.
Give me 5 more minutes,
Dude, that
and then
was
getting
gone.
and then it gives you and then you end up getting 100% for the exam or for the test. Or you end up getting the
Also,
50%
what
from the last page.
His name as the timestamp the goal? Does it say goal end? Like, because they can't really put a timestamp in the goal because it
Well,
was after the
I
game.
remember
90
going onto Twitter and people would screenshotting their notifications, being like, "How is this happening? I see a full-time notification, and then one, and then
You could have done
Bruno
an
Fernandes
extension of a
slots a
goal.
penalty." It's almost like he stole the ball
Only
back
at
from the
90.
officials after the game, went and put it on the spot and took the penalty, bro.
It's
Yeah, but
honestly like
that actually doesn't make sense because if the ref didn't see it during the game while the time was going, then it can't count. You can't just restart the
But
game
The
for
game
like
is
me,
and
done.
change the rule.
It's been called. Like, it's finished. It's over. You
but
just accept
the,
it.
the issue lies in that is the incompetency of Premier League refs. That's what it comes down to. How can you obviously he knows that the VAR are looking at it. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
I know it happened like he blew the whistle and maybe, but VAR, he's got it in his ear. They're telling him we're looking at it. He should know the rules that once he blows the final whistle, that's the game. The refs are allowed to stop the game at any point with the VAR check.
Yeah.
They can stop the game at any point with the VAR check.
Yeah.
But the fact that he went and blew the final whistle and then carried on
Went
play
and
after that.
Well, once again, it's
It's
the
like-
it's the matter of when the teacher said the bell doesn't dismiss you, I do. They came back for more.
like- It's
Dude, it really like 90
Cabello
plus
said,
in,
"How
eh?
can Cabello saying how can a game have a bonus track?" the deluxe edition of the album, featuring Bruno
It's-
Fernandes.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah,
It's,
but hey,
it's-
dude,
it comes down to two things. It comes down to Man United are it's not even lucky. It's I don't know what the word is. Like you can't even say they're the luckiest team. They own the league or something. I don't know what it is. It comes down to that and the incompetency of refs. Like how can you blow a final whistle?
and then go back and continue the game. It doesn't make sense.
Honestly, I think the Premier League should be able to change this result.
Yeah,
No one can argue the fact that the final whistle was blown.
Well, if
The final whistle was
they
blown.
can give a penalty after the whistle is blown, I'm sure they can re-look at something and after the whistle is blown, you know, open a case on it.
I can go. Should we go and like I don't know get a penalty from 2 seasons ago? I think we deserve.
and then
a
get
penalty.
everyone to
And
stand.
recall it up.
Once the game is
so-
over, it doesn't matter how long it's been over for. The game is over.
Exactly.
Like that doesn't even make sense. How the ref thought it was a good idea to let this thing go. Like what did he think was gonna happen? Oh, I've blown the final whistle. Oh, I don't want to get flack from United fans for giving away like a clear pen, but the game is over. Dude, what did you do?
Yeah, I don't know. I have lots
think-
of questions
I
to
think
ask about these
I think
refs
we could
and-
be here for
penalty
ages,
rule
guys. We could be here for ages, and I think we're all hoping as
Yep.
footy fans of the game, not just supporters of our teams, but fans of the game and having passion for the game. We hope to see a change. So yeah, we could be here forever. So before we do end up being here forever, I just quickly want to move on to our last topic, having a look at the fantasy again. We still have the same person from last week, Michael's girlfriend Michelle, taking first place again, sitting on 211 points. Bootle Latuli in third, and Oliver Newell in third. So yeah, let me scroll down here. You can check your names. How your guys' fantasies going, Ricky? Take me away with your fantasy and how it's going.
Hey, it's coming. We're gonna start. You know, we like to give people chances to win, but you know us. Hey, at the camp, we always know what it's saying.
Mark, you up towards the top of the log? You feeling confident? You're gonna secure a top 3 place by the end of the season?
I don't know. I went with the tactic of backing the big boys. So I chucked Salah, Aubameyang, and De Bruyne in there. So I think over the season, if I can keep those 3 in, I think you're bound to
be
get
fine.
lots of returns
Yeah.
from those. It's just managing the cheaper players around them because obviously you got a
Yeah.
lot of like the Bamfords and the Mitros getting the goals and yeah, I don't know. It's because like I've got a lot of the cheaper ones, so it's tough. But I think if you look at Michelle's team, like there's a way to get quite a good balance of like the the 9, 8, 9, 7 midfielders in there who all have got good chance of getting
Yeah.
returns and stuff. So I think that's the nice thing with fantasy. There's so many different approaches. Like you can go with like 4 very expensive, like the top scorers.
You have
and
to
then
go
you
with
have to
Just
manage,
ran-
you have
the
to-
player
you have
that
to
carries the
manage
team. You need to have the carrier, the man who
Ruben
has it
La-
all on his shoulders. The
Someone
De
who's going
Bruyne,
to give you points every
the De
week.
Bruyne, the
someone
Kane,
who's
the
going to
Son.
take the penalties.
Apparently, Calvert-Lewin.
Well,
And
no,
Fernandez would also be a pretty good one, to be honest.
because
Yeah.
they're going to get penalties every game.
Yeah,
way this
and
is
he's going to
playing.
be scoring them.
Well-
Like genuinely, if the Premier League carries on like this, my whole team, I'm gonna just put every single, like I'm gonna look at
Every
every club
penalty
and try to put
taker.
their penalty taker in the team.
Yeah,
Because you're bound to get.
They're
They're gonna be like 6 points. They're gonna be like 6 to 7 penalties, maybe even more every flipping week.
Yeah, they're
So
gonna have to
you got a
rework
good
the
chance
rule on the
of-
golden boot. Someone's gonna win the golden boot from just scoring penalties in the season.
It's a penalty.
Dude, I mean, Vardy.
He scored. I think
Vardy
he's
scored
had.
one goal.
I
Exactly.
think he's had 2 shots, other than his
Yeah.
penalties coming this season.
Yeah.
2
He
shots.
scored one goal in
one
open
other
play,
goal,
and he's
and
very
4
tied
penalties.
for second.
Ricky,
So
I
it's
just wanted to mention that there is someone in the chat calling you out. We have Emily in the chat calling you out, saying, "Tell Ricky that she is gonna beat you in fantasy."
And the thing is,
Ricky.
I'm not even surprised. I was looking at her team, and it's hot. Like, it's securing points. Dude, like, that's why I
I'm really
decided
scared.
boys at the camp, we're just going to calm down. It's easy vibes. You know,
Yeah.
it's still game week 3. We chill. We'll come from behind. We're going to start averaging like 60, 80. You know the things. It's life.
Keep the energy. Keep the energy. Yo, Ricky, your energy is actually unmatched tonight, dude. And it is getting close to 9 o'clock, dude. And you still have this energy. I respect you.
Dude, it's loading. After the good results tonight, we're going to get this fantasy up. And not only are we going to get that up, that personal scorecard of mine, dude, the finishing will be 99 at the end of the season. You know me. You know me.
I don't think it's the finishing that you need to work on. It's definitely the pace, dude. Yeah, that 3 paces definitely is not it.
You should see how quick I am these days. I'm basically CR7. More
Oh
or
my
less.
word.
Okay, I think that's
More or
time to
less.
end.
Yes, on that
That's the
note,
win today.
on that note, you can see the code on the screen right now. Please come and join. As you could see when the league was up on the screen, we have lots of new members always pulling in. I think we have over 80 people in the league now, which is actually mind-blowing. I think we were aiming for like 50,
Yeah.
We said when we started it.
Yeah.
So we nearly
we're
doubled our
hoping to
number.
At least like 50 was our.
Yeah,
our,
well,
like,
everybody
Yeah.
wants the
big-
bragging rights to be on the top of everyone, you
Yeah.
know?
So
Now everyone's competing. It's lit.
you don't have to worry about your points. It will carry your points over from the beginning of the season. Let's see if we can get 100 people in the league. If we get 100 people in the league, we can definitely secure some prizes. For top 3, if there's more than 100, maybe even the top 5. We can see. No promises yet, but yeah, let's see what happens. Urge you guys to join that.
Get the word out there.
Yeah. Okay. So just before we finish off, is there any questions from anyone in the chat? I think let's wait 3 minutes and see if we have any questions, and if not, we can call it there. Any other chat that you guys want to add while we wait for some questions? Any other points that we missed speaking on? The week coming up, we excited?
Yeah, big game tomorrow.
Who's playing who? Yo,
Chelsea.
United Tottenham.
United Spurs on Sunday. I hope we give
Yo,
them
that's gonna be so hot.
Yeah, if
Ha,
we play like we played on the
they're gonna
weekend,
play.
they won't touch us. But then, they're going to be 2-0 up before the game's even started because VAR, you know how it is. You're just gonna see. We're going to walk onto the pitch and the ref's going to be like, look at the scoreboard and it's 2-0. You're going to be like, hey, what happened? He's like, no, the game started last week.
You guys were late.
The game started last week. Where were you guys?
And then Chelsea Crystal
Mark,
Palace.
I
what
wanna-
are the Chelsea fans saying?
Before we get onto there, I want to take Mark to a closer fixture. I just want to get his score prediction quick of the Monday fixture.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow. Sorry, the Tuesday fixture tomorrow night. I want to hear your score
Yeah.
prediction.
To be honest,
3-1.
to be very honest,
3-1.
I think you guys will win. Because
No way.
Jose even said in his press conference today that he obviously, like, for us, he said he'd love to take the Carabao Cup he'd love to attack it, but obviously we have to qualify for Europa League, so we got that on Thursday.
Yeah.
He said just
There's
because of the
priorities in
money
other
that brings the
places.
club, and we've got United on Sunday, obviously. So
Yeah.
I think we'll play a young team. I don't know what you guys. Chances are you'll play pretty full strength
Well,
because you only play Tuesday.
I think
and then
that's what I was
Saturday.
about to say. I
So-
think we could use this as a tester for a few players to possibly make their big match debuts. Maybe Chilwell, maybe Ziyech. I mean, jeez, I almost forgot about Ziyech for a second in our squad. Like, I haven't heard anything about this guy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything. Haven't seen training videos. All I've been told is that he's not ready to play. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I want to see him play.
I think Frank said
Some
Ziyech
Ozil vibes.
and Pulisic was still out for tomorrow.
Yeah.
But he said Mendy could start, so I think that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But I
Oh,
think
that'll be cool.
I think it'll be a good game because I think we'll play quite a few youngsters, but we'll still have obviously Dele's been he's has to reprove himself, he's fallen out of favor, but so I think we'll still have Dele. I think he might play Reguilon, give him his start at left back.
It
Obviously
will
centre
definitely be a
backs
good
will play
game to
pretty
test players.
pretty chilled.
A London
So,
derby is always a good game.
Exactly, and I think we'll see quite a few youngsters and debuts and stuff
Yeah.
for quite a few guys. So I think it'll be a good game. To be honest, I think it can go either way, but it just depends on the
agree with you.
lineup. To be honest, because
I
obviously
agree with you.
Carabao Cup players are going to be
Tottenham's
rested.
youth academy is pretty good.
Yeah, we've beaten
you've
Arsenal
some
3
decent-
under 16, under 18, and under 23 in the last week.
Seems like there's no need for that information.
Just to let you know, before Arsenal boost.
Hey, shit.
London derbies in the last week.
And
That
then
information
Ricky, just going back
is
to your question, you were asking me my thoughts on our game against Crystal Palace. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yo, I won't lie to you. After our performance against West Brom, there's concerns. I mean, as I said in the beginning, I'm definitely not celebrating that draw. That is nothing to celebrate at all. If anything, it's still embarrassing and it still hurts to see that scoreline. And I just think if we're gonna go out and play a game of two halves again, we might not be as lucky. We can't pull back a 3-0 deficit every single match week, and we can't draw every single match week if we want to do things. We need to get that. We need to secure those 3 points. Zaha, he's going to be a problem. We need to keep our eye on him. Ayew, also a problem. Need to keep our eye on him. I think it's going to be a good game. I just think it might be a bit confusing if we show up in our third kits. It will be Crystal Palace versus Crystal Palace on the day.
That's a meme.
Yeah.
No, but I think to be honest, every game in the Premier League is a good game.
Of late,
I think
yeah.
of the way teams are playing this season, no one's teams haven't looked great one week and then the next week they've found their feet. I think
Yeah.
Fulham haven't got results, but they haven't looked bad. Sheffield United haven't looked bad. They've lost 3 in a row, but they that game against Leeds was a good game. It was end to end. I think Leeds' keeper Meslier, I don't know how you say it, but he had an absolute blinder. He pulled off so many good saves.
Yo, Andy is
So
so
I think-
young, dude. Bright future. Prospect.
Bright future, yeah. So I think yeah, even teams haven't got off to good starts. You can never rule a team out in the Premier League. So I think
Yeah,
always
because
always
it's
up
also
for
very
big
days.
futures. Yeah, exactly. So
Okay, guys.
I think it's going
see-
to be. I'm predicting another good weekend of football, eh?
Hey.
Another few seven goal games, 1 or
Yeah.
2, you know.
Well,
Can't get on with that.
as I said on my Twitter, I always find myself looking at the Premier League fixtures coming up and saying, "Flip, this is going to be a good game." So I think it's going to be like that for a very long time. So yeah, lads. On that note, no questions from the chat. I think we had some good discussion here. Just a reminder to go join that fantasy league, please. Let's see if we can get to 100 people. That would be amazing. Go blow up the socials. The Twitter needs a lot of love. The Instagram's received a lot of love, but keep showing it some more. So yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.